They were finding trash. They felt that the city was not responsive to them. They couldn't get returned phone calls. If elected, what would you do to make the city more responsible and responsive to provide these services for the residents in these neighborhoods?
I would immediately put the expectation of customer satisfaction of the city of Miami much higher than a 51%. When I look at the City of Miami strategic plan 2015 through 2017, I am absolutely floored that we have a satisfaction rating of in the low 40% in numerous areas. And then for 2015, the goal is to move up by 3 points. All the way through to 2017, we are still looking at overall a failing grade, possibly a D-. I think we need to shoot a lot higher on satisfaction within our community, and I think that we need to take a real strong look at what our residents are requiring.
The first thing that I'm going to do if I'm elected is create a smart growth committee composed of neighbors, residents of the city of Miami, and small business owners. Those individuals will review major projects being filed with the city the moment they are filed with the Planning and Zoning Department. That committee will review with everyone in there the plans, and then we'll get together and review it prior to matters coming to the city of Miami for a vote. The commissioner of the area must be informed at all times how the community feels before he or she votes on it. So all this dissatisfaction and all these associations that have been formed in the past will be able to come together in that committee and bring the issues to the commissioner of the area. And
I want to see a jobs program in the city of Miami, and what I wanted to see is, you know, Miami had just increased their budget by $55 million, and they gave some money back to some of the employees that they took it away from over the years in negotiated contracts, which is good. But I think that we need to build the capital improvements and the infrastructure and clean up Miami, paint it up, and have an apprenticeship program where people could enter at entry-level jobs and work their way up through the city to become part of rebuilding the infrastructure. We have a crumbling infrastructure. We have a lot of utilities that need to be underground. We have sidewalks and streets that need repairs. And instead of privatizing and sending it out to people, to private corporations, it can be done through the city, and we get more bang for our buck and at a reasonable price, and we have people who can work their way up into higher level jobs.
I received a mailer from Commissioner Suarez, and it had 72 on it. Not reading it, I just thought, oh, 72-hour turnaround. I like that. Somebody calls and complains, you get a 72-hour turnaround. That being said, I think to listen to the residents, walking door to door has been a great benefit for me because I actually see everything that's bothering their concerns. They're saying, you know, look at this sidewalk, it's all broken. And I think whoever is elected commissioner should have to walk periodically through the district just to listen to everybody and go to their door. Don't wait for a town hall meeting and make everybody come in. Go to their door, talk to them. So that's what I would do. Thank you.
In a nutshell, I'm going to make sure your impact fees stay in your neighborhood. Impact fees are from development, and they are made to mitigate the negative effects of development in your neighborhood. They're not meant to spread all over the city for pet projects all the way across. When the impact is happening in your city from development, in your part of the city from development, we should get the benefits from that impact in your neighborhood. And we are on an upswing right now of development. The city is flush with $130 million. We can take care of these problems. It just needs accountability and enforcement. And we don't have that right now.
In other cities, residents don't have to worry about this. That's why I developed the app. It's a ticket system. It's to bypass the government, the local government. You, as a person, go on your app and you have your ticket system. It helps. I'm trying to give you back your city. In other cities, people don't have to beg for any of this stuff. Everything is gridded, it's coordinated, it's done. End of story. No one has to go out begging and going through all of this hassle. It's done automatically. So that's why I created the 5 for Miami and created the My Miami app. You guys will have your ticket and you can put whatever you like on it.
Again, going back to real world, as a real estate agent, we are in the service business. That's all we do. So we're used to getting complaints. I tell everybody, you know, one day I'm brilliant, the next day I'm an idiot. So we're used to it. I'm used to it. As your commissioner, and I told this as I've walked and I've knocked on a lot of doors and said the same thing. You hire me. You vote for me. You don't vote for my chief of staff. You don't vote for my secretary. You don't vote for my admin. You vote for me. I'm your contact. This is who you're going to need to talk to. That's what I guarantee. And I agree. We need to walk the neighborhoods. We need to be out there. Town hall meetings are great. We usually get the same kind of people. You want to make sure that you want to walk these neighborhoods. And also, even if I'm not elected, and Rosie's brought something up, I own 5 websites, and our goal is to have a website that says Miami District 2, which I own, and it will say, you'll click on it, and it'll tell you who your county, who your state, and who all your reps are. That's very important.
When I'm elected, and I'm not speaking boldly, but I'm speaking with confidence, there will be someone assigned to your District 2 Commissioner's office to investigate every complaint in the city of Miami. Because you must remember, I will be elected the Commissioner for District 2 or the city of Miami. So if I'm going to respond to any complaints, if there's going to be any requests for zoning changes, then before I sit up there in the dais and not having investigated it for myself so that I can make an informed decision, I'm incompetent. So what I'll be doing is investigating every zoning change. I'll be investigating every change that's going to happen, and happen in a manner which it'll have a negative impact on any community in the city of Miami. You can hold me responsible if I don't investigate it, because I will.
Mr. Ambrister, go ahead and keep the microphone. What is your view on the current state of Miami development? Do you think there's too much or too little? And what do you say to resident concerns that it appears development is out of control without the proper infrastructure support?
Miami, for any of you that have been here for a generation, maybe 2, was called the city beautiful because of the residential communities. And currently, commissioners have a method of allowing commercial development to move into the residential community and encouraging the zoning changes. For instance, if there's going to be a business, then whoever the business owner is will buy the lots in close proximity of their business, and then they'll go to the commission for zoning change, and the commission will grant it. So I hope I answered your question, but we need to put a pause on development and sort of let everything catch up and work towards getting back to the city beautiful, which we have always been, we are now, and we want to make certain we continue the city beautiful in its existence.
I don't think we'd have 9 candidates up here if we didn't have too much development, and that's one of the major complaints that you have. Too much development leads into the too much traffic, leads into the too much police force, leads into a lot of stuff. We need development simply because we know we have a tax base. Right now, your city commissioners are pro-development. Each single one wants development in their district. It's their tax base. It's how they make money. It's how they go back to their cities or communities and get their tax base. So we have a pro-development. It's something that's just a reality. It's where we get our tax base. So again, I believe that we do have too much. We need to revisit Miami 21. We need to revisit our zoning laws, because what happens is it allows it. Tonight, William and I maybe couldn't make it because we had to be in Coconut Grove because there's a zoning change going from a T3 to a T4. Any of you know what that is? Probably not. We do, and what it does, it affects residents. It affects the front resident, it's fine, families, if it takes 10 families out of place. But one of the thank you very much.
I think everyone does agree that everybody's frustrated because of the development, but I think it has to do with planning and coordination, and the fact that everything happens at once, and the fact that the city is negligent in maintenance, and then everything is an emergency project. So you turn one way, you turn the other, you have MDX charging people a fortune, so that they're trying to escape the tolls and going into neighborhoods and causing even more strife. So you have a myriad of different issues. I think Portland is an excellent example. I think we should look at best practices of other cities. Portland, Oregon is top-notch in transportation. I know that they recently took a trip to Denver, but I suggest Portland. They are amazing. Everything is synchronized, all of their transportation. And also Charleston actually generates extra revenue. They're a lot smaller than we are, but when they're done with their budget, they have an extra 65 million because they actually bring in venues into their city. Go figure that. They don't have to resort to the budget.
It's time.
Michael, it was a very softly laid question for something that should be screamed at the top of our lungs. Yes, overdevelopment is absolutely out of control. And if you define overdevelopment, that's where you can really see what we're talking about. Because I'm not against a beautiful building. I'm not against a smartly laid out city that grows and looks amazing. But we are not that. We are a facade of that. Because development is not just at the table, they are running the table. And our campaign finance laws are a big problem of why development gets everything they want at the expense of our quality of life. And I mentioned it in my opening statement. We have a very tough race against us here because there is an assumed front runner because of name recognition and financial backing of development.
What are you going to do about development?
I am going to not let the financial backing of developers sway my decisions. I've raised $100,000 from neighbors, from friends,
Thank you.
and some of my own. Thanks, Mark.
We're the third most popular state and probably the second most popular by now for people to move to. We can't have horizontal infrastructure because we're going to go in the Everglades. So we have to build up. We need vertical infrastructure, and that economizes on the delivery of our public services as well as water and other natural resources. So we need vertical infrastructure, and it needs to be in the urban core. It all goes back to we need better transportation options to get everybody around and satisfy the need for that. Thank you.
You know, I'm sitting here and we're talking about a commission race for the city of Miami, and what we're talking about is this particular little area over here. And the city of Miami is bigger than that. You know, you have Flagami, you have Little Haiti, you have Overtown, and it's all part of the city.
And what would you do about the development?
I would create a smarter way of doing it, a 21st century view of doing it rather than just building more and more and more. I want to see, you know, light corridors. You're going to have on Upper Biscayne Boulevard, you're not going to have any sunlight. Like on Brickell, half the day there's no sunlight on Brickell Avenue because it's just complete wall-to-wall buildings. You know, you need light corridors, you need
Lars.
Not the last time? Not the last word?
all honor the
Definitely. This goes back, ladies and gentlemen, to Manny Diaz. We had uncontrollable development back then. We continue to have it now. You complain about the traffic? That is, the traffic problems is as a result of the uncontrollable development we have had. We have to implement smart growth. Smart growth requires 3 of the items, got 5, has 10 items in there. One of them is that you have a choice of transportation, several of them, wherever you're going to build. That you have choices of housing, from luxury to affordable to workforce, and you have to have parks and green spaces. when you begin to build in that fashion, we'll get a better community.
We need to have thoughtful development. We need to make sure, dependent on where the development is taking place, that the neighborhood has some input into the structure so that they have a clear understanding. We're in 2015. When you look at development nowadays, we have to look in a vertical fashion. We can have parks that are 10 stories above. We can have staggered or tiered buildings so that we actually have a community that is supportive of a quality of life. I think we have to look at it with fresh eyes.
Okay, the next one, the mic, thank you. Just pick it up off the table. If you put it on the table, I think it makes it worse. Most one sentence follow-up. Is your campaign being funded directly or indirectly by development monies?
Absolutely, positively not. I have not taken 1 cent from any developer, period, and I won't.
I've received money from developers, I've received money from business owners, I've received money from residents. I consider that the 3 legs of the stool. Thank you.
I would guess one of those legs is a little bigger than the others. I have received some developer money, but very little because mostly they're scared, honestly. But I have received some developer money, but most of them have decisions in front of City Hall, so they're afraid to give to other candidates anyway.
I'm going to go back to 2013 and campaign finance reform. If you take it, the people come last, because when you get elected, you're already bought and sold, and the people come last. This is not an easy position. I could have done the same thing. I absolutely refuse, on principle alone, to do that to any voter in the district where I was born and I was raised.
Mine's an easy one either. No, because as Ken so pointedly made, most of the money, you know where it's going, we know where it's at, and if you do have any decisions before the city, you're going to get that same response. Hey, dude, I can't do it. I can't give you anything because you know what? It may affect something. That, folks, is a reality, flat out, and it's just straight across the board. So, no, it's not out there. It's not out there for the rest of the
I
candidates.
tell you as a listener, you all, it's easier if you say yes or no and then explain rather than explain and end in yes or no. Mr. Armbridger.
No, because campaign contributions make you appear to be compromised. And not only that, with all the money that is being spent for posters to plaster all over, I tried that once, to put all over District 2, that money could be contributed to an organization that works with the homeless or children and families in need. So to accept campaign contributions.
Thank you. This was supposed to be 1 or 2 sentences. Go ahead and keep the mic, and then we're going to pick up the 2 ladies at the end. They're going to get to answer 2 questions. You mentioned homelessness. That's an issue that we're facing in all of these organizations. How would you work with the Homeless Trust or others in providing proactive solutions to the increasing homeless population? Or do you think the Homeless Trust is no longer working? What would you do as commissioner to fix the homelessness problem?
Well, as a commissioner, I'll have to unite the executive board in the city of Miami, and we'll have to confront Miami-Dade County in order to work out a plan where the homeless can be ID'd, they can be medically treated, they can be analyzed to see if they have physical conditions, mental conditions, psychological conditions, whatever, and get them tested to see if they're fit for duty, fit for work. We got to do something more for the homeless than just bring them in at night, and that's like the convicts that are in prison. You got to do more than just lock them up. You got to get them some training while they're locked up, so when they come out, and give them a voter's registration card and let them become a part of society as a whole. You can't just send them in and lock them up, and then after 5, 10, 15 years, you expect they're going to come out and be a model citizen. Make them a part of society. They've been abandoned. They were abandoned. Their grandparents were abandoned. Their parents abandoned them. Thank you very much. We got to do more.
I think the first thing you can't be is antagonistic to the county or to anybody that's going to try to help you out. So if you've got Miami-Dade's Homeless Trust, you need to work with them. That's who we have to work with. And again, one of the things that we have to draw a very, very fine line within the city and the city budgets is, remember, if we take more of our city money to do county funding or county jobs, transportation, homelessness, we're taking away from our residents. You pay a city tax for a reason. But I think what we need to do is tone. Again, why there's so many candidates? Tone of a campaign, tone in how we deal with our counterparts, tone in how we deal with the rest of our commissioners and the rest of our county executives. And I think that's important. Communication. We have the beds, we have the ability to do it, we have the money. Let's just communicate and make sure that we work on, again, problem solving in a positive way, not a negative way, or not as, oh, it's my idea. I don't really care if it's my idea. Let's just get the damn thing done.
This is close to my heart. I've worked 19 years in probably the poorest school you can possibly imagine, with the highest number of immigrant homeless families, people and kids living in cars. And these are horror stories that I've had to deal with personally for many years. I also have worked with shower ministries for the homeless, and I also have given a lot of airtime to these matters. Also, I had this idea in Miami After Dark Radio about maybe 7 months ago about toilets for the homeless. And I'm very glad and very happy that someone actually heard it. I think it's a very humane thing, and I believe in the housing first model personally, but I do agree with you that we do have to work with what we've got and just make sure that there's more accountability and push them to actually spend the money where it needs to go.
I think Javi hit this one on the head. Building relationships to enable the people who have the money to help us is what we need to do. And in this case with the homeless, the county has a tremendous budget within the Homeless Trust to help alleviate the homeless in downtown, where more than half the county's homeless are housed, are living. So what did we have over this last period was a war, a battle between our city commissioner and the head of the Homeless Trust. Now, our commissioner had a plan with Matt's and a program that ran out of money, and the initial idea on paper to take homeless off the streets sounds good, but MAT programs have failed in other parts of the country. And in this final resolution of mediation, the Homeless Trust prevailed in the sense that the MAT program is finished. The Housing First program will prevail. We have these people in shelters. We need to open up that money with good relationship building and good ideas.
The Homeless Trust has $57.5 million budget. I would work with them. We need to help the homeless, and fortunately they are taking up the MAT program, and I consider a 36% success rate to be good if you get even one individual off the street, because we aren't talking rocks, we're talking people. So that was a successful program. We have to deal with the homeless on many levels. You're going to have some homeless that have just missed a payment and were evicted. They need housing. Then you're going to have the chronic homeless that need more, but they don't want to come inside. But they need food, shelter, showers, and medicines. So you have to address all layers of homeless and not in just one fashion. Thank you.
I've been working with the homeless problem for more than 20 years, and I've helped a lot of people. I don't think that the solution to homelessness is to provide a mat so they can sleep on the floor like a dog. The Homeless Trust has $57 million, and let's say you have, they count around 4,600 homeless. It's more than that because they concentrate mainly on downtown. They don't look at Coconut Grove and Overtown and Little Haiti and things. But let's say you have 5,700 homeless people and $57 million to spend. That's $10,000 per homeless person. I think that we can do a lot better than we have been doing. You can give them $10,000 each and do better than you're doing now. And I have a good relationship with the head of the Homeless Trust. I'm not the current commissioner.
Hi, I was at County Commission when the issue of the trust was there and Mr. Brooks was there. And I went up to him and I said, Mr. Brooks, I am running for Commissioner of District 2. I want to tell you that I want to work with you. There is no issue of egos with me at all. It is an issue of helping other people that need help. So in me, you will not find somebody you're going to be fighting with. You're going to be finding somebody who wants to help you on this thing and help you from the city standpoint, trying to do as much as possible. I do believe in the Homeless Trust. I do, in what they do. So I think what we've had before is just a confrontation or not a meeting of the minds before the individuals representing each of the parts, and that's what exactly has happened in the past.
Going back to the question that you missed, has your campaign been funded directly or indirectly by development monies?
I have received $500 by an individual by the name of Gianni Corradi, who what he does is he builds single-family homes in the rows where I live.
Okay. You can answer these in which you get both questions.
Okay. So I think it's the first question, the answer is no. This is a lean campaign based on small donations, and then some of the larger ones are from family members. And in response to the homeless situation, our city is failing its community in communicating what's going on with our homeless situation. We have an incredible group of people that are working on a multitude of different types of homelessness. We have the Homeless Coalition that works as kind of a base to communicate and get people to the proper support that they need. We have people with mental health issues, and currently they're looking at a facility to be able to house people that need health care rather than put them into a incarceration facility. We also have a communication going on between the ACLU and the Homeless Trust in regards to the sex offenders that are living underneath bridges and by train tracks, which really are a true public safety issue. All of it is actually in process. We need to communicate that to our community.
Okay.
Is this last election?
I guess, and we're not going to tear it down. Okay. Would you, I'm not sure I understand this question, but this person typed it out, so I'm going to take the time to read it. Did you participate in the Miami 21 legislative process, including opposing the removal of neighborhood protection language that was in the previous zoning code?
Again?
Oh, I thought it was a shaft.
Again?
Let's move on. I'm going to turn some of these into yes/no questions. There was a question about the boat show. Do you support moving the boat show to Virginia Key? If you support that, raise your hand.
We're going to get the traffic on President's Day weekend on Brickell for that boat show.
In reference to Parcel B, the county-owned land behind the American Airlines Arena that the public was once promised as a waterfront park, do you support reclaiming this public property as a waterfront park? If so, raise your hand. Baylink, one that I love from Miami Beach, but what do I know? Would you, as a commissioner tonight, make a pledge to support moving forward with a Baylink, a tram link, or some other type of public transportation connecting Miami and Miami Beach? Next question. If you are elected to commission, a very controversial item may be coming back before you regarding billboards and media towers and Innovation Tower. Would you commit tonight to opposing the Innovation Tower? If so, raise your hand.
But the one that is proposed is probably going to go through because they got in before the time period. So, don't expect miracles there.
Thank you. This was supposed to be a little more interactive with some audience participation rather than me talking. Is there anybody itching for a question? We'll take some from the public. Okay. This one was actually in the list and I think I missed it, so let's go back. Education. And let's give you a minute to address this one. I've heard that Brickell and downtown residents don't have a neighborhood school past 5th grade. What is your position on this? What would your idea be or plan be to expand education? Let's start with the ladies and move it on down. 30 seconds, please.
I think the quickest plan would be to expand the current charter school that we have.
Well, I've been hearing this from the homeowners, from the Brickell Homeowners Association for years, because they don't have it. It's not just now, they haven't had it in a long time. And I think whoever gets elected to this district should be immediately in touch with school board member Regalado, and also with Cavallo, and start working on that issue as soon as possible.
Expand Southside Elementary to 8th grade and eventually have a high school in this area. You have 50,000 more people in this area now over the past few years, and you're going to have a lot of them are going to have kids, and they have to be provided for. And it's a great school, and let's make it better.
I agree. Schools are very important. We're growing down here. We have families and the children need a place to go to school. And so we need to start concentrating on schools and work with the school board. Thank you.
This population of downtown is growing so fast. And if they don't have schools to go to near their homes, that means more traffic and more commuting. So absolutely, more schools close to downtown.
As an educator, yes, you need live, work, play, learn, and stay. And you do need these amenities for families. It is a must. You can't be a community without education first, and they really do need it. You don't have it here.
Tough problems need some quick solutions and some good solutions. How about we just change around and say we're going to go from 1st grade to 3rd grade, and maybe we can use the condo buildings on the bottom floor that we use for commercial, and we can turn it over to school space. We have to be a little bit more creative in how we do things. So maybe we go 1st to 3rd, 3rd to 6th, and then we create schools within spaces that we're using right now for commercial spaces. That's a very, very simple solution, a very quick solution, and you have the space there available to you.
Well, my position on education is sound, and the best thing we could do for education is what worked best when we had it in place. We had elementary, junior high, and senior high, because as it currently is, your senior high schools have adults, 18, 19-year-olds in the same setting with 13 and 14-year-olds, and it's not a conducive environment for young children. So we need to get back to the 9 through 12, the 10, 11, and 12, 7, 8, 9.
So do you support more schools in the neighborhood?
I support all of our children getting into school from newborn to 6 years old, 5 years old.
Thank you. We're going to go back to some yes or no. I'm turning a lot of these into yes or no's. We're going to go back to the raising of the hands. Do you feel Miami is presently a world-class city? If so, raise your hand.
There's a lot of variations on that question.
Next question, yes or no? Would you support a conservancy for Museum Park? Would you support a tax on vehicles entering the Brickell downtown neighborhoods? Question. By the way, people, when you're in elected office, supporting a tax is not usually a good thing. You try to hide it and call it something.
Get one of these.
Okay, how many of you sitting up here attended the city's budget meetings? Okay.
Does that count?
I don't know, I wasn't there, I'm taking your word. Okay.
Right there.
All right, who has the mic? We're going to go back to a more open-ended question. We'll start with you. Oh, one more yes or no. Ultra Music Fest. Are you in favor or against? If you're in favor of Ultra Fest, raise your hand. Ultra Music Festival. Come on.
When you say in favor, would we go and dance at it?
I don't know. I'm past my dancing years, but... All right, we're going to go back. Short answers now. Let's try to, if you can keep it to 30 seconds, don't feel you got to take up your whole minute. Give us your brilliant part at the beginning, don't hide it at the end. What's your business, capacity in that business? What is your employment since leaving school, and why do you think that would benefit the city of Miami as a commissioner?
Since retiring from Florida Power Line, I've had the opportunity to sit in commission meetings and come to the realization that there is no one representing the children, the seniors, the working men and women are fighting for home ownership for low and moderate income households. So that is what I've been doing along with the Drug-Free Coalition and not fighting City Hall, but trying to provoke thought in their actions where it is having a negative impact on the people in this community. And I have nothing else to do until I die, but fight for the people.
It's an easy one. Very simply, real world experience. I've been in retail, which is one of the #1 industries here. I have had my own business in the food industry, which is the second #2 business. And then also I'm in real estate. I'm the only real estate agent here that is a candidate. So I understand real estate. Oh, that's right, Seth is one. That's right, Seth is one. Sorry, Seth. So again, and Teresa? Oh, okay, and Teresa. And so I think those are the real world experiences as a active real estate agent, as a practicing real estate agent, and as the #1 agent in Coconut Grove and Coral Gables for RE/MAX. I think it's real world experience. It's just knowing that when somebody comes up to you, you know what they're talking about.
I am a former retailer, franchise, luxury optical chain retailer, was a family business, and I am a educator and also a radio show creator and co-producer. I am also a winemaker, in the process of a new venture, by the way.
I've always owned my own business. Out of college, I studied in North Carolina business school and traveled abroad. My first business was a family company, advertising and promotional marketing. Our clients were Coca-Cola bottlers all over the world. I traveled over 40 countries in that job and managed about 150 people. My brother still manages that. I came to Coconut Grove to raise my son, and I started my own company, wholesale distribution of water sports gear, mostly stand-up paddleboards. We have a warehouse in Kansas. We sell to about 100 shops around the country.
Like I said in my opening, I worked road construction when I was 16, and I thought that was a great experience for me. And then more recently with cigarette racing team when I was hired for administration, but I took an interest in how boats were made, so I started going out in the factory and ended up doing production schedules and managing the factory. So I found that to be very educational for me, and there were about 115 people in the factory and office. Thank you.
I'm a real estate broker. I was a general contractor for 30 years. I was a real estate appraiser. I did property tax appeal. I got thousands of people to have the property taxes reduced. I'm a zombie movie star. Children shouldn't play with that thing. I worked in the convention and trade show business for 30 years at the Miami Convention Center. And I do a number of other things. I've been on the board of more than 50 corporations. And I've, can't remember it all. But, and I did it all full time. I also qualified the largest painting contractor for high-rise painting and balcony restorations.
Who played a zombie?
It was children shouldn't play with dead things, and I had to tell while I was the dead thing.
Okay, besides my having a major in history, minor in English, I've been a paralegal for 48 years. And I've been an activist in the city of Miami for 20 years. I know exactly how to read a legislation, how to read the code of the city, how to read the charter of the city, because I've been challenging them for a long time. As a matter of fact, I read a legislation in the city commission last Thursday that I knew would have an impact on Mr. Russell's neighborhood, and I showed up to actually save the day. So that's what I do.
Currently, I'm a small business owner of a restaurant downtown. We started from the very beginning, put together a business. We now have a dozen employees, work on customer service, making sure that people are happy. I understand public service and bending over backwards and listening to opinions and being very thankful for people coming in and spending money. Prior to that, I worked as a licensed customs broker, worked with big logistics companies from sales and project implementation. I sold from the C-level down and then implemented from the factory level in. So I'm very good with negotiations as well as communicating to people of all walks of life. Prior to that, right out of school, I did interior design and hotel projects in San Francisco and worked with union installers.
Okay, this is going to be our last open-ended question. Then we're going to do some yes/nos, and then we're going to close. Go ahead and keep the mic down here. I think it works easier. We're going to turn to sustainability, something that Miami Beach has been focused on for a long time. Flooding, studying debris and pollution in Biscayne Bay, the idea of plastic bags and styrofoam that have been banned in Miami Beach. 1 minute or less, are you aware of this problem? Do you think it's important in the city of Miami? And what would you do to incorporate some of this into the city of Miami ordinances?
It's a huge problem and we're way behind when you look at other communities across the nation. We need to look at starting it off as more of a rebate or a deposit, and then eventually completely do away with plastic bags and move forward like the rest of the nation.
I agree, we have to, we're way, way behind where other cities in the countries are. And I think we should actually come a long way on that one. I think Miami Beach has done the right thing to do it, and I think we should emulate it.
Europe 50 years ago went to reusable bags for groceries. That's a good start. I'm absolutely opposed to styrofoam in any form. You have a big problem in Miami with waste going into the Miami River and into all the waterways. You have water draining from the streets into Biscayne Bay. Biscayne Bay is totally polluted. I don't think any of you would swim in it. And we have to remediate a lot of the sewage that's going directly into the waterways. The Wagner Canal is one of the worst in the country, and you don't even know where it is. It's right over here. So let's get working on it.
That canal is bad. If you've met Dave, I can't think of his last name, and he does all the bay cleanups. And he's looking at storm drains for Miami Beach that will allow the water to circulate through, but catches the debris so it doesn't go out down into the storm drains and out into the bay. And so I believe the city was going to look into that as well and test a couple of those because, you know, it's a problem. And so yes, plastic bags, styrofoam, yeah, we have to, you know, be conservative.
Thank you. I think that the city of Miami is in the stone ages when it comes to environmental concerns. If I'm not mistaken, we are the last city in our county to start taking up sea level rise mitigation. Our commissioners endorsed Rick Scott, so I don't even know if we're allowed to say the word sea level rise. It's such an important thing, and pollution is such an important thing. As I said, I run a water sports company, and every year I do a charity event in the bay that I organize for weeks, and we have to clean up before we can even get in there. And the fact that the city can just rip out mangroves without any repercussion whatsoever, it just shows how little the environment is important to the city right now. And I can tell you it'll be a priority for me.
I think we're definitely in the Stone Age, that is true. We actually have a Japanese, and I do have a degree in science, that actually converts plastic bags into oil. So it's just really expensive. Styrofoam, no. I almost died and went septic and lost twins due to the toxic waters. And my husband passed away 4 years ago due to environmental cancer. So I do understand more than anyone probably in this room why it is important. And yes, it is a problem. We need to definitely adopt, once again, best practices from fantastic neighbors instead of suing one another. Wouldn't that be nice?
I think the biggest environmental thing that we've got to really deal with is the climate change and the water levels rising. I actually attended a meeting with Betsy Wheaton over on the beach that she put together, and all the other counties are putting together great ideas, and it's really about making sure that we know what's happening and we have some type of visual effect. And it's actually a really cool thing. It's going down from Palm Beach all the way down to Monroe County. So really we need to have climate change legislation, and also just the fact that we have to recognize that we have water rise. Also, we got to keep an eye on FP&L. If you all know me, you know that I have a website and that we monitor it. And they want to build 2 reactors down there that they can't cool. And they want to put all these pretty posts up on US 1 that we don't need. So I think we, as commissioners and as just citizens, we need to keep an eye on it. So I believe that this is something we need.
Well, I'm smart enough to know, but I'm not smart enough to know that I can't take a position on an issue unless I have some detailed information regarding how we can best deal with the problem that we're faced with. So that's my position.
Some yes, no. Raising of the hands. Who's heard of Coastal Cleanup Day? This is a commercial for Biscayne Neighborhood Association. They're doing a cleanup this Saturday, I believe at Margaret Pace Park. How many of you will be out cleaning up on Coastal Cleanup Day? Next question, on behalf of Brickell Homeowners Association, this will be a yes or no. They've been frustrated with the DDA. Their boundaries are cut in half by it. They give a lot of money through tax revenue to fund it, and they don't feel that they're adequately represented. Would you support changing the boundaries of the DDA to include the entire Brickell neighborhood and giving them more representation? Yes or no? Yes, if you...
I need to answer that in a different way. They need to know, the neighbors in the area, that they will be charged more taxes.
So your answer is you would support it if they understood they're going to pay more taxes?
I would support it if they want them and they vote to be taxed.
Okay. Our final yes or no. Do you think that the present system in the city of Miami government, the mayor-manager kind of hybrid form of government, you don't have the strong mayor like the county, you don't have the weak mayor like the beach has. Do you think this form of government is working, yes or no? Raise your hand if you think yes. The current government in the city of Miami.
No.
Okay. I think we got 2 yeses and the rest no. Okay. Can somebody pick up the mic? Thank you. All right. Thank you all for being on the hot seat. This was advertised to go till about 9 o'clock. So we're going to end right now, and we're going to give you 1 minute on the timer to give us your best close.
Well, my name is William Armbruster. My grandfather came here in the late 1800s, and I am the only candidate here that has history that goes back 3 generations, and I know the changes we've experienced in this city, and until we have a representative that's going to represent the invisible people, which are the children, the seniors, working men and women, people who are working, paying through the tooth for homes and should be afforded home ownership that is within their means. I'm going to continue to fight until all of my children are in school, in early Head Start. No money, too much, and more than you need. And so education is going to be the solution for all our problems in here in South Florida. It's going to be the problem for crime, poverty, homelessness. It's going to be the solution for everything. And so my main focus is on my children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. I want you to know that they'll have someone here fighting for them for as long as he lives, and I will leave a trail after I'm gone for many more to follow.
I always say this, local kid just trying to do good. I come from a very, very humble beginning, and from a family that really never had a lot of money or a lot of assets. And now, as it was pointed out earlier, I drive a Maserati, so I've done okay in my life. For 35 years, maybe even longer, I've been problem solving. And I've used it a couple times in real world situations. Not make-believe stuff, not studying, not school, not any of that stuff. On the ground, on the field, solving problems. Every problem that we're presented has many options, and it affects a lot of people. So you have to remember where you came from so that you know who you're affecting, and then you also have to know where you are so that you also know what you're dealing with. So what I offer you is, I offer you 4 years of my time, and I offer you 4 years of my commitment and my passion. That's what.
I want to give you your city back. I want to be the transparency commissioner. I want to build relationships with neighboring cities. I want to work together for best practices. I bring public and private experience, which is a very unique blend. And I think that's important because I understand the private sector and I also understand the public sector. I am not on the job training. I've been a public servant for quite some time. I also am the only person here that has a list of civic accomplishments. That means that when I go to City Hall and I've done my presentations, I don't get paid for it. I have to do it on my own time because I'm not working for attorneys or representing or protecting their clients. I think that you need to really investigate people, and I think you need to understand that when I become your commissioner, my priority, my clients are you, the voters. I don't know any favors.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the DNA, the BHA, the BAA. Did I forget anyone? I said BNA, yeah. All of you for coming. For you to take such an interest in us is great because the turnout is so low in this election. There's an absentee ballot application form inside of every one of my leaflets to try to increase votership. What you've done here tonight is pop quiz us on what would you do? What would you do in this situation? What do you think about that? But the more important thing for you to think about is, will your commissioner listen to you on what's important? And will they gauge the pulse of your community for what you want to see done? And then, even more importantly than that, do they have the ability to take that idea to City Hall where they need to get 3 out of 5 votes to get that idea through? And for this, you need someone who knows how to collaborate, someone who knows how to persuade and bring people on side. You don't need combativeness at that time, and you don't need to be beholden to development at that time. You need an independent thinker who can bring people on side. That's me. Thank you.
Vote for me because I listen. I've walked door to door throughout the district 2 times. I'm on my 3rd time through, and I've listened to everybody's concerns. I'm also proactive. I belong to an organization that teaches children about the dangers of gun violence. That's a problem today. I'm also passionate. I have fought with my community against Home Depot, the Mercy Hospital project, as well as to bring back the Coconut Grove Playhouse. I'm also a bridge builder. I bring together people and organizations successfully to pull together and do something like the Camillus MAP program. I'm also caring. I volunteer my time with animal rescue organizations and the homeless, which are 2 groups with no voice. And lastly, unaccessible. My personal cell phone is on all my campaign literature. Thank you.
I'm Seth Sclary. If you want to be happy for the next 4 years, elect me as your commissioner. I listen, I have solutions to problems, I'm a good problem solver, I work well with others, and I think it's time for a change. One of the issues that wasn't discussed tonight at all is crime. And there's a great deal of crime in the city of Miami. There's person-on-person crime, you have car break-ins, you have a lot of drug trafficking, a significant amount of drug trafficking, significant amount of gambling, which is never even looked at by the City of Miami Police Department. They just totally ignore it. You have a lot of bolita, you have sports betting, you have all sorts of things. Vote for Seth Sclary. Thank you.
Grace Solaris again. I heard somebody saying, the clients? You're not my clients. You are my bosses. Because a leader must listen to the people who elected them. I've been representing neighborhoods associations for the past 20 years. I've been the voice of those people for 20 years before the City Commission, including the Brickell Homeowners Association, with whom I've worked on innumerable occasions, even when Tori Jacobs was there. And Natalie knows that very well. I've been actually fighting for the quality of life of the people of Miami. I've actually, in order to do that, have to read the code, the charter, etc., and asking them, their representative, to please listen to us. I will be truly the one listening to you. Thank you.
Thank you again, all of you, for coming out and listening. I'm Lori Woods. I have been in Miami by choice for 5 years. Since coming here, I have learned as much as I can about my community and all that it has to offer for all of us. And what I see here is incredible plans that are not being executed. I have spent the last 5 years getting to know people that can get things done and listening and serving people. I serve more than burgers and beers, and I would be happy to serve all of you, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Let's give all the candidates a warm round of applause. Thank you, everybody, candidate. I know this is not an easy job, so thank you. You all did great. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Remember, the most important thing that you do is vote. The first Tuesday in November 3rd. Let your friends know. Make sure everybody gets involved in your community. On behalf of my colleague, Rosa Della Camera, and Becker and Polyakov, and all the neighborhood association groups, we thank you. Have a lovely evening.